Yo, this is my conversation with Thomas. He's made over $100,000 on Upwork. I made a video about Upwork. It did pretty well. So I wanted to get more insights from Thomas on whether or not it's worth it. We talk about how he was able to get his first clients, what his daily routine is, how he gets more and more clients coming to him now, and how his life has changed since he's made hundreds of thousands of dollars on Upwork. So hopefully you enjoy. Awesome. Thomas, can you introduce yourself, who you are and what you do?
So I am I guess, Upwork freelancer, SMMA agency owner.
And okay, so the reason I want to talk to you is because you've had some videos that blew up about Upwork. I made some videos before, and then I seen you just popping off in the Upwork space. And I think a lot of people come to me asking about a whole bunch of different strategies. And I usually don't ever talk about Upwork because for me, when I was first starting out, I tried Upwork. I was a video editor and
Mhm.
I tried to get on Upwork and it just, I would apply for like 3 jobs and then no one would get back to me. I'm like, okay, I spent all this time on this profile and then nothing really worked. But I see you and you've been at it consistently and able to get it to work to where you actually make good money on it. The first thing I want to go over is the numbers. I think people really want to know proof. And so, how many clients on average do you get on Upwork?
Per week, I would say somewhere between 0 to 3 would be the most accurate answer that I can give. But yeah, it really just varies. It depends on the week.
And so, usually, how much are they paying you on on a monthly basis, or is it not monthly? Is it like a contract work for this week or anything specific?
So again, it depends. But so when I was first starting out, I started at, I usually do a monthly subscription fee, like a fixed monthly price. I try not to work on an hourly basis or on hourly contracts, but typically it's somewhere between 600 and I think on the high range it's like 1,200 to maybe $1,500 a month. And the service is usually just content creation and basic social media management.
On average, right now, how much are you making per month for yourself?
So I just hit the 10K mark a couple months ago. Now it's somewhere between 10 to 12K a month.
And have you had a hard time like scaling further? Because sometimes in the beginning, obviously it's hard. We get the first couple of clients, but then now we have current clients and then recur month over month, and then we get more and more, and it just grows over time. For
Yeah,
you, do these people like they fall off, and then we have to get another client? Do they churn a lot? What have you noticed with that?
it's 100% like that. Because, like, for me, I found, I don't know if it's different for you, but for me, what I found with this agency model is the only way you're making money, the only way you're kind of profiting consistently is if you're signing more clients than you're losing. And
Hmm.
for me, it's like, although I'm like constantly signing clients, I'm also constantly losing clients. And it's like, it's not like for social media management, these clients stay for years or, crazy amounts of time. Typically it's within a couple months I tend to lose these clients. um so for me, the only way I'm growing is if I'm like building a system where I'm signing more clients than I'm losing.
Yeah.
So that is a struggle that I have. After I reached the 10K mark, there was a moment in time where I kind of dipped back down and then I kind of went back up. So it's a bit of back and forth. So yeah, it is kind of hard to scale.
Yeah, I think that's every agency. I think people think of that as a bad thing where clients leave and they come and they leave.
Yeah.
What I noticed too, when selling retainers, they would usually leave after 3 months just because I don't even want to, no, I make a pretty good money and I don't want to pay anybody $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
And so trying to convince a small business to consistently pay $2,000 a month, it's going to be very hard. And if they notice a dip, because obviously every month's going to be different. So if let's just say we made this content and they got 1 million views this month, but then the next month they got 300,000, they're like, oh, I don't like, it's a huge difference. I don't know if it's worth it anymore. And I paid the same price and yeah, I'm getting very different results. And so then they leave. I noticed if I change the offer to be more like a pay on results basis, obviously they stay on longer term.
Mhm.
But I also tell people a lot of times too, it's really annoying is that they think, and I did this too. One month I made like 8,900. Next month I made 16,000. And the next month I made 6,000. I'm like, okay, what happened from there to there? Well, I focused on make sure all the clients are happy. Let me try to make sure I'm doing all this work for clients. And then I didn't realize I should keep the train going, keep trying to get more clients for myself. And then, the work just dried up. And so to keep the train going by sending out more messages or proposals on your case. So, okay, okay, say 0 to 3 clients a week.
Mhm.
Just depends. Obviously, usually 10, 12K a month. Uh, how many sales convers? Because I know in some of your videos you say you don't do sales calls. Sometimes you just have conversations with people back and forth. How many
Yeah.
sales conversations are you having on average per week?
So conversations and sales calls is actually a lot more. So now I actually prefer conversations than sales calls, even
Mhm.
though, I mean, the right thing to do would be, it's a lot easier to sign clients on a sales call than it is on a typical text-based conversation. So for me, right now, it's probably around 4, 5 sales calls a day, and then probably the same amount of conversations as well. text-based chat is what I mean by conversations on Upwork per day. But now I actually try to, kind of lean more towards text-based chat and try to settle everything as much as I can on chat before getting on sales calls if I even need to. Because for me, I hate sales calls.
Yeah.
I hate sales calls. I hate getting on calls. Not talking about this one, but like in sales calls in general, I just don't like sales calls. So I try now, at least I did it in the beginning because I had to, but now I try to get on as little sales calls as I need to.
Is it just because you don't want to have to sit there and try to hard sell them?
I've always hated getting on calls. I just got used to it over time because I did so many. I don't know how else to explain it, but I think when I was first starting out, I had this goal of like, I'm going to reach a certain amount, a certain figure. I guess exceeded those expectations or my expectations. So I don't know, maybe if you want to put it in a bad way, I got complacent.
Mm,
Maybe I might have lost some of my drive that I had in the very beginning,
mhm.
which sucks. I feel like, but I just want to be honest. Maybe it's that, but now it's not like because I'm signing more clients, but I definitely do feel like I could be signing more. I'm getting kind of complacent, so I don't know.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, but I think that actually helps your case. When I was like, when I was first starting, it was like, how do I optimize to get as many booked sales calls as I possibly can? And then now I get people booking, and sometimes I'll look, I'm like, they don't have a domain email, they have like a Gmail email. I'm like, I probably should just delete that call. And
Yeah,
I think sometimes that helps in my case, just because I'll reach out to them and say, hey, if you're really interested, you can message me on WhatsApp. But and they're like, no, I'm really interested. I'm willing to pay you all this stuff. I'm like, all right, in that case, that's good. But I think living in the where I think you're at now, where it's like I'm in abundance, where I'm getting 10 conversations per day. People are coming to me. I don't have to worry about the next sale that's coming in. I know exactly how to get the next sale, the next sale. And so then it's like when we're on the sales call, it's probably easier to close because I know, look, I've done this a million times. I don't have to worry about you. I know the next guy's going to come down the pipeline. So probably is more better for you than you just being complacent or whatever. But so okay, we have 5 or 6 conversations, chats, and then 5 sales calls. So you're having about 10, maybe 12 sales conversations on a daily basis.
a little less,
Mhm.
somewhere between 3 to 5. Probably 3 or 4 is more accurate, but somewhere around
Mhm.
there.
I know you were saying that you're getting a lot of inbound now. When you're first starting out, with the conversations that you have now, how many of those are because you sent out proposals versus people that are coming inbound to you?
95%. I stopped up, or I didn't stop, but I don't apply to as many jobs
Mm,
as I used to. Nowhere
dang.
near. A lot of the jobs that I do apply to, if I do, are from invites. So I don't know if that counts, but people will invite me to apply to their job,
Mhm.
and then I'll apply. Which it used to be free, now it's not. But
Dang.
yeah, I don't really count that as me just going out and applying to jobs manually. Um, so yeah, now I don't really apply to as many jobs manually as I used to. The clients that I get now are mostly from either invites or from, just straight up DMs.
Interesting. So 95% of the work is just Upwork promoting you because you've already made so much money. You've already had so
Yeah.
many good reviews.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you just basically get free marketing at that point.
Yeah. Well, technically it's not free because Upwork just released this new update where you have to pay now,
Yeah.
connect to apply to invites and also like even through DMs, not respond to DMs, but if you get hired even through a DM, they'll charge you.
Dang. Yeah. I mean, I think can you explain to everybody what a connect is for people that don't know?
Yeah. So, well, Upwork in general is a freelancing platform where freelancers and clients, it's kind of like a meetup place where freelancers and clients can kind of meet up, but it's not free. So clients have to now pay connects to post a job, right? You post a job so that freelancers can apply to those jobs, and freelancers have to pay connects, to apply to those jobs. So connects is just kind of like the currency that you use on Upwork, in this sort of meet and greet place. It's kind of
Yeah.
like cash, Upwork cash.
Yeah, for sure. I think I mean, from what I've seen and what I've tested with it, it's not like cheap, but it's not very expensive at all, where, it might cost you a couple dollars. Where I think after my test, it cost me about $7 per positive reply or per person that was interested.
Mhm.
How much do you think you're spending on, at least in the beginning and now, how much you think you're spending on connects and marketing yourself on Upwork.
Yeah, so this is actually one of the things that I did prepare for, and I actually did look it up. So I found a way to look up how much connects that I spent, and I calculated it, and it came out to somewhere around $1,700 total.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
spent throughout my upper career um, $1,700 purchasing connects. And if you compare that to, how much money I've made, it's not crazy at all. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, it's pretty good. A lot of people say Upwork is expensive, and it is, I say, compared to the money that you can make, I don't think it's that bad.
Yes. How many months have you been on Upwork?
It's been, I started early April last year.
It's a little
It,
over a year.
yeah, a little over a year.
And then how much have you made over the course of last year?
130, 40.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
130K and you've been on it. So it's basically like, obviously you're making more now, but let's just say on average you were making 10K a month, and on average it costs you about 125, $150 a month for those connects, which is negligible. If it's like, so you're getting like a 10x return, $100. No, that's a 100x return, $100 to make $10,000, uh, which is pretty insane. I think it's, to me, it's very worth it. And when you first started, I think, can you give the origin story? I thought it was really cool what you said in your I don't want to work on 9 to 5. Uh, can you give the origin story of how you went from the bakery or wherever you worked, right, coffee shop, to today?
So that origin story was not really the origin story of me starting Upwork. It was
Hmm.
actually the origin story of me just pursuing entrepreneurship. So before Upwork, I actually did a bit of Amazon. I sold products on Amazon. That was my first entrepreneur job. And for that story, it's a bit of just to put a long story short, because I did explain it in that video. I didn't know it would pop off like that. But anyways, it was just me saying like I can't see myself just working a 9 to 5. And this is no hate to people who work a 9 to 5 or anything like that. It's actually more the opposite. It's just I have that respect. It's just because I can't do it myself. I don't want to do it. And I didn't want to do it so bad that I was willing to do literally anything else. So I spent weeks just going down a pure rabbit hole of how can I make money? What can I do to make money online and not work this 9 to 5? Is there a way to make a living not through a conventional, typical job? And I came across a bunch of different side hustles, a bunch of different, things that you can do to make money. And at the time, Amazon was one of them. So I started with that, made some money with that. When it comes to the origin story of Upwork, it's actually a bit different. I don't know if you watched the video, but I actually mentioned that the reason why I started Upwork was actually because of a trip that I went to Japan. So I went to Japan one day, and this is when I was doing Amazon, and things were good. I was making money, but I was at that stage where again I was getting complacent because I was making money and it was good enough for me, right? So I was getting complacent, and I was like, I deserve a trip, I deserve a vacation. So I went to Japan with my friend, and I went to Japan, and then everything was good. But one day, like I met some people in Japan, and I was at like the Tokyo Tower like one of the towers in Tokyo. I forgot what it's called. And I saw all these city lights. It was like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whatever it is. And I saw all these city lights. I loved the city light view.
Hmm.
So I was just kind of admiring it, taking pictures, taking videos. And someone came next to me. It was one of the people that I met in Japan. And she said, "Hey Thomas, like, do you like the view?" And I was like, "Oh, I love it." And I'm like recording it. And she's like, "Do you ever wonder like why these lights are still on?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like it's 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whatever it is. And all these lights, there's not a single building with the lights turned off. It's 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. All these lights are on. And I was like, "Oh, you're right. Like, why are these lights on?" And she told me pretty much it's because all these people are still working. Like all these lights, all these building lights are still on because there's still people in those buildings that are working on this random Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday night. And that kind of just struck something in me where it's like, I'm here making the bare minimum, just getting complacent, thinking I deserve the world, this vacation, whatever. And these people, are making a lot less money than me, and they're working till 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's when that fire kind of lit back. So after I came back from Japan, I went back to that rabbit hole of research again, where it's like, okay, Amazon plus, I'm finding something else. And that's when I came across Upwork. That's when I came across SMMA, freelancing, and it's history. It's all history from there.
Dang, that's a really cool story. When you were doing Amazon, did you stop doing Amazon?
Yeah, I did.
Was there a
Um,
reason for that?
yeah, so a lot of my friends asked me that too, where it's like, why don't you just do both if you're making money for both? And what I told them, the simplest way to put it is for me, I got really lucky with Upwork, and I was able to sign my first client within 3 days,
Mhm.
which is relatively fast. Um, so for me, I was able to make money on Upwork relatively quickly. And how I put it or how I found it was if you have two machines, and and one machine makes, every time you put in a dollar, you get $10 out. And this other machine, every time you put in a dollar, you get $5,000 out, for example,
Yeah.
or $500 out. This machine gets 100, this machine makes 500. I'm better off spending all of my time in this $500 machine. There's no point
Mhm.
in me trying to work on or spending time in this $100 machine. Yes, it does make me money, but not as much money as this machine. I I'd rather go all in on this than put 50 here, 50 here, or
Yeah.
20% here and 80% here. So that was kind of like my mindset. So yes, I was making money, but I was making more money here. So that's where I kind of just went all in.
Okay. Awesome. So like the Amazon, was it wasn't as passive. It wasn't like it was very active work and it was just wasn't making you as much as you could.
Yeah, it wasn't making as much. And it was passive, but not as passive. I still had to put in some time.
Mhm. Yeah. So can we start doing Upwork? You get a client in 3 days. What was that story like? How did you? Because I know when I was starting, and this is maybe 2019, I was maybe or 17 years old, so it
Mhm.
was 2018, and I was just trying to I don't know, get someone interested in my video editing services because that's all I did. And I would put out proposals, and I would maybe do I don't know 3 to 5 a day for like maybe 2 weeks straight, and just nothing gets back to me. And maybe if things get back to me, I can tell it's an obvious scam or something. And so you doing it in 3 days, what was the journey of you being able to do that?
I want to like exclamate this point because it was super lucky. I
Go for
got
it.
I got really, really lucky. And I want to put a disclaimer as well. After I signed my first client, it took me months to sign my second and third.
Oh wow. Dang.
So yeah, that's what I mean when I say it was super lucky. Um, the client was brand new to Upwork.
Hmm.
And back then I was just applying to everything. For me, it was just a volume thing. I said that I prepared to tell you how many connects that I bought. I also prepared and looked up how many proposals I sent. So in total, I sent around 1,700 proposals. So it's
Dang.
kind of the same amount. So yeah, I was applying to a bunch of jobs um, in the beginning, and like the first 5 jobs I applied to, she was like just one of those people who applied right away. As soon as I applied, I guess she was online at that point, and she responded to my proposal right away and said, I put in some examples, proposal example or portfolio examples, and I guess she liked those. And she said, I remember her message. She said something like, "Hey Thomas, I love your portfolio work or your examples." So ever since then, I found the importance of having a good portfolio. But yeah, I was just super lucky. She just said, "I love your portfolio. You're one of the first people to apply to my jobs or to my job." Um, and so I responded, "Are you open or are you free to hop on a call?" And I said yes.
So it was very quick and easy. And then from there, how many were you sending per day? And you were consistent, but you didn't get any clients. What was the process like to get the second client?
I was sending at least 10 proposals a day. But yeah, after I signed that first client, I thought I thought that like, oh, from this point on, oh, it's this easy to sign a client. Like I thought it was gonna be like that for the rest of the way. It wasn't. I learned the hard way that I had to make adjustments. This template that I was using just didn't work. I had to write my own cover letters. I had to provide better examples in my portfolio. It was a painstaking process because the graph of my upward career was kind of like this, and then it was just like this, and then it was like kind of smooth, and then went back up. But
Nice.
it was a roller coaster ride.
Okay, so once we get a client number two, does it get easier to get client number three, number four? Because like you said, most of your clients right now, 95% of them people coming to you now, which is great.
Yeah.
Uh, but what are people usually looking for? Is it just like, oh, I want to make sure that you've actually made money on the platform before, or at least you have three or four, five-star reviews?
So are you asking what do clients look for, or
Yeah, like okay, what was the problem? Like, was it easier to get that third, fourth, fifth client? And then why was it easier? Was there something specific that the clients were working for that you found? Like, oh, this adjustment I made, which you just said was something about the portfolio, but anything else?
so the two things that I found, so yes, it was easier after my fourth, fifth client. But the two things, the reason for that is not really what people might think. The two reasons for that is because of volume and consistency, right? And that's what I found to work best. You need volume. You need data to kind of track what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. And a lot of people, I mentioned my graph of my Upwork career. A lot of people, it's not this. Like they don't sign their first client right away. For a lot of
Hmm.
people, it's just this or it's this, right? Where it's just I'm applying to all these jobs, but I'm not getting the responses. I'm not, or I am getting responses, but I'm not signing clients on calls, or I'm not getting responses at all. I'm not getting views at all. What it is, whatever it is. But a lot of people, the problem is the volume because they send like 10 proposals and they think that, because I'll tell you, like, for every 10 proposals that I send, I get maybe four views and, one to two responses and maybe one hire or signed client. That
Hmm.
could be my, I guess, statistic. And I'll tell that to people and they'll think like, oh, if I send 10 proposals, I'll get four views, I'll get one to two responses. But it's not really like that. What I mean is instead of like I shrink down the numbers to make it sound better, but it's really you send 1,000 proposals and maybe you'll get like 100 views or 200 views and then maybe 10 responses. It's kind of like those numbers. So a lot of people will
Hmm.
just send 10 proposals. They'll think that they should get four views or one to two responses and they don't get it. And it's just the expectation. But the reality is you have to have volume, right?
Hmm.
And the reason for that is because you need to gather that data and see what you can adjust. If you're getting views, maybe your offer isn't good enough. If you're not getting views, maybe your introduction in your cover letter isn't good enough. Just things like that. And it's a lot of adjustments that I did. Like my first month of being on Upwork and my fourth or fifth month of being on Upwork, I was a completely different person. I had a completely different mindset,
Hmm.
a completely different cover letter, a completely different profile, portfolio. It was a lot of adjustments that I did during that time.
Yeah, that's something else I kind of wanted to ask was about the numbers, which is, and I understand that too, dude. Every time people come to me, dude, it's like, oh, I sent 50 DMs today. I'm like, you need to be
Yeah,
sending 200. Like,
yeah,
what are you talking? Or like two, that's minimum 200, and you should be really doing 1,000
yeah.
per day, and that's cold, right? What you're doing, people that are obviously already looking for this stuff, and it's you still have to do a lot of volume. And I think when I was first starting too, I remember hearing somebody say, I've had to do, the people that I see that get the best results, they've done over 1,000 sales calls. And at the beginning, I was like, how am I ever going to be able to do 1,000? Like, that's going to take me years and years and years. And I want money now. I want money fast.
Yeah.
And then, looking back, now I've done almost probably 3,000 sales calls myself personally, and the company as a whole, 5,000 something sales calls. And so I realized, okay, like looking back, it's a lot easier than it looks. Looking back, I mean, it's still really hard work,
Mhm.
but it's just pure volume day in and day out and day in. And I think that most people they like, and even when I first started, it was like, let me send three proposals. Why not? I didn't get anything back, or let me send five DMs. And I didn't get anything back, and this just doesn't work. So people have the wrong expectations. So thank you for those numbers. I want to get your perspective. Have you never ever tried cold? I mean, that's my whole business is cold mostly, but have you never tried cold at all?
Never, not
Okay.
once.
And then can you give I've heard you say it before, but your perspective on that and why?
So when I first found out about, I found out about SMMA before I found out about Upwork. And the typical original SMMA, you're doing cold calls, you're doing cold outreach. So that was the approach that I was going to get into. But then I found out about warm outreach. Um, and like the difference between cold and warm is just instead of you reaching out to a client, I guess, sort of like butt naked and trying to convince them from scratch, you're reaching out to clients who already need you, right? So
Hmm.
instead of so warm outreach is pretty much you go to a restaurant, you see a sign where it says hiring now or like looking for someone hiring or hiring now, whatever it is. And you go in and you say, hey, here's my resume. And then I found that cold outreach is just into a restaurant, they don't even have a hiring now sign, they have nothing. And you go and say, here. here's my resume. And that was just the number one concern for me is just one, I knew that I would have to do more outreach, right? Cold outreach, I said it was a numbers game. I knew from the beginning that if I did cold outreach, I would have to do much more. And then also, I would have to statistically, just realistically, get rejected a lot more. And I don't know if I was, I guess, prepared for that in the beginning stages, especially because I mentioned that I hated sales calls in general. So knowing that I have to do way more, and knowing that I would just get rejected a lot more statistically, right? Um, it just I just couldn't do it, bring myself to it. And I
Mhm.
found out I had two choices, and it just was easier for me as a beginner to pick the warm outreach approach.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. What I usually say is, only 40% of the market's ready to buy. And so anytime you reach out, you can't really expect more than 5% of people responding saying, yes, I'm interested. And that's even if you have a good offer. If you have a bad offer, it doesn't help you at all.
Yeah,
But then with Upwork, you have people that are raising their hands saying, yes, I'm already interested. And then we just have to turn them into a closed deal. The problem that I thought, though, too, is that with Upwork, is now we're competing with 100 other people named Rajendahar that are gonna that are charging $50 for something I'm trying to charge $5,000 for, and
yeah.
so okay, one thing is two questions. Why did you choose social media management over marketing? And then two, have you found it? I would think it's very difficult, even harder to try to get clients with social media management, considering the fact that you have people in India or in Bangladesh that are willing to do it for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah. So first question, why I chose management over marketing. It's because it was more beginner friendly to me. And
Mhm.
now I was just getting into this. I mean, I did have experience selling on Amazon, but I had no experience getting on calls, just selling things in person, not in person, but like I would have to meet with the client, talk with the client. Amazon, it's just I put a product and they buy. I'm not in touch with the client at all. Where it's
Mhm.
SMMA, I'm actually person to person, kind of chatting with them, talking with them, getting on calls with them, whatever it is. And that was a completely new field for me. And I was not confident whatsoever. So for me, I chose the easiest possible route that I could find. So cold outreach versus warm outreach. Warm outreach to me seemed easier, so I chose that. Social media management, social media marketing. For me, management seemed easier because it's not results oriented. I'm not promising results to clients. I'm not promising sales to clients. I'm promising, good content. I'm promising quality designs, video editing, um, I'll post your content on a consistent basis. Like that's the stuff that I'm promising. That's a lot easier to promise than, ads where it's like you spend this much and I'll give you this much back
Yeah.
for your business. So yes, it makes more money, a lot more money. But for me, the easiest route was this. So I actually wanted to start with social media management and then transition to marketing once I got more experience. That was my plan. But
Mhm.
the social media management field, it did so well for me that I just kind of just decided to stay with this. Yeah.
And so what about the competition?
Yeah. And then the competition in the beginning, I completely agree. The competition is fierce, and it's a pain. I mentioned that, I mean, I was able to sign my first client within a couple of days, but clients two and three took months. Um, so yes, I completely agree. And I don't really have much else to say. Other than the fact that it does get better. And now that I do have that experience, I'm able to separate myself just by promising clients quality and saying, yes, you could get work for cheaper, but are you getting quality for cheaper? And
Mhm.
that's kind of where my promise comes in, where it's like I can offer you more and better for a better price. It's up to you whether you want to spend more. Yes, it costs more, but you're getting better. That's kind of like my approach with clients,
Yeah.
and my factor, I would say.
So that's your value proposition is just the quality.
Yeah.
And also you already have experience, you already have the 5 stars, and people are pretty happy. I mean, I've hired people on Upwork too, and I've obviously nothing against. Obviously, I have plenty of clients from Pakistan and India, and I have employees in Pakistan and India, and uh, but sometimes what I found is I had people coming to me. I had like one guy come to me from Fiverr for video editing, one guy. And this was already, I was already like successful at this point. And so it was some guy just randomly came to me like, oh, can you help me edit videos? I'm like, I don't do that anymore. But he was just saying that he's hired people from India for cheap, but they would just like, they want to understand the context of, this is a funny moment, but then they add like serious music and they're in the YouTube, in the video editing, whatever.
Yeah.
And so it kind of helped where because I was from the US and I kind of understand like jokes in English, whatever, things like that.
Yep.
But all right, so let's get into your routine. Other than today, because I'm screwing up your day by booking this call in
Oh
the
yeah,
middle of
no,
the
I'm having fun. I'm having fun.
day. What is your, I watched your video on your day to day, but on average, how many, uh, when you get up, are we just responding to all the proposals that came in over the night? So what's the routine there?
So yeah, as soon as I wake up, I pretty much just hop on my computer, answer all DMs, emails first, and that alone takes me a couple hours because I'm not just answering DMs that I get from clients on Upwork. I'm also answering DMs that I get from my team members or from my current clients that I do have, and it's just a lot of back and forth. And then from there, it's I guess applying to new jobs or doing more outreach or doing more research, whatever it is.
Mhm. Okay, cool. And then is there any just super simple, important do's and don'ts for the people that you see starting out? And let's just say I'm really dumb, I'm just getting on. What would you tell me that I should and shouldn't do when it comes to my profile or sending proposals?
For your profile, you have to make sure that it's professional. A lot of people, even some of the students that I have taken a look at their profile on Upwork, a lot of them like just some of the basic stuff, like even the profile picture. You have to make it professional. Like you don't have to make it too crazy, but it can't be some like angled, selfie photo or like you're not even looking at the camera. You're like on the
Mhm.
side. You have like this crazy background. Like a lot of people have like think they could just upload whatever to their profile picture and think that Upwork is all about the cover letter or whatever it is. It starts from the absolute basics. So you have to make sure your profile picture, your profile title, like everything matters because realistically, people see your profile picture first. So everything matters. Make sure your profile from A to Z, it's good, that you go over it, that you actually spend time on it. Don't spend all of your time just thinking you could just apply to jobs with random cover letters or not good portfolios or not good profiles and think you'll get a job. It won't happen. You have to put yourself in the best possible position first.
And then like, okay, if I was starting out, what would you tell me? Okay, what would my daily routine be?
If you're just starting out, you should spend as much time as you possibly can building the best possible portfolio and the best possible profile as you can make. And that should take you at least a couple days. Like if it took you less than a day to create your portfolio, create your profile, you're doing something wrong. I think you genuinely have to spend like a lot of time on it first. Put yourself in the best possible position first. Um, and then you start applying to these jobs. And then once you do apply to these jobs, it's really important to do it consistently. So again, we mentioned volume. You have to do a lot. And it sucks. The cost of connects is a lot higher. Upwork, I would say, is not as beginner friendly as it once was when I started out. But it's still true that you have to do volume. It sucks. It's more expensive, yes, but it's volume and it's putting yourself in the right position and then it's volume. That's the thing.
Yeah, but even like I think if you just say you spend $100 per client, and each client's going to pay you $750 a month for three
Yeah.
months, and they stay on, only costs you $100 or $200, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, awesome. So, and then how do you determine your pricing? Like when I'm submitting a proposal, or you're just okay, they said $600, I'm just going to put $600 because they said it, or how do you determine that?
Like I don't know about you, but I prefer when clients give me a price first, but a lot of the times they don't. They kind of just give you the role to kind of give the price first. So if the client gives a price first and says like this is our budget, this is what we're willing to work on, it's a lot easier for me to kind of either negotiate or say yes or say no or whatever. But the majority of the time, the client won't give you a price and they'll just straight up ask you how much do you charge for this, And for me, what I say, it depends on how the call goes and it depends on what the client needs, how many posts they need, and how much time that I think that I would have to spend on this client. But again, it typically ranges for anywhere between 600 to $1,200 a month.
I think the last couple things, I don't know if you watched my video on my strategy, but my strategy is the idea that I had was
I did see.
doing, okay, cool. So it's, the free trial and then, but saying, hey, I'm a professional at this, but I'm just getting started on Upwork. Here's my portfolio. I'm willing to do it for free to start, and then we can work together long term just for a 5-star review. Do you think that's a good idea for anyone that's starting out?
I'm mixed with that because I like to, or for me, I like to say I don't do free work. I preach to not never do free work. And personally, I have tried that where it's like I'll do these stuff for free. I'll give you free samples. And some of the times it works because they'll reach out to you because of that, but they won't even ask you for the free sample sometimes. They'll just say,
Mhm.
hey, I mean, they'll see the free sample headline that you put, and then they'll get interested, and then they'll see your profile or your portfolio, whatever, they'll like it. And then they'll message you based off of your portfolio and say, we like your examples. We're not really looking for free samples. We just want to get started because we like it. So that can happen. Um, and that's kind of like best case scenario where you propose a free sample, but they don't even ask you for it. But
Mhm.
sometimes they will ask you for it. And the problem with that is, yes, it can work. But the problem with doing free work is, again, the obvious thing of you spend all this time doing this free work. You send it over to them. They ask for revisions, send it back. You spend all this time. And then at the end of the day, thank you for this free work. I'm leaving. Like
Yeah.
that's the big concern. And if you're just starting out and that happens to you a couple times, it could get really deflating.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of Upwork is, I think, confidence in the beginning. I give credit to a lot of my success on Upwork because I was able to sign my first client, and it built that confidence for me. So if you're just constantly getting rejected, just doing all this free work and not getting any real results, your confidence is down there,
Yeah.
going to start affecting your outreach and your mentality, I think.
For sure. Yeah, what do you think about? Because my thought is I hate doing free work too. And
Um,
any client that I've ever had that was like, look, I'm willing to pay you $100 per meeting that you get me, or I'm willing to pay you, but I just can't. I've been scammed before, and I'm like, look, I've been scammed before too. Let me just get you a few leads for free, and then we'll go from there. And then I start setting up systems, get them a few leads, and then they ghost me. They never talk to me again. I'm like, okay, I just did all this work for you for nothing.
yeah.
And I've done every single time I've ever done that. It's not worked out. But I thought of if you do something on Upwork where we, okay, these people are already looking for leads, which obviously you've already tested this and maybe it didn't work for you. But if I go in and I say, hey, I'll give you a free consulting call, I'll give you a game plan on exactly what I would do if I were you. Then from there, if we want to work together, just give me a 5-star review. It only costs $5. And from there, if you want to work together long term, we can. If not, all good. You can go off on have your merry way, right? And so if I just basically it's just a sales call. So we go to the call, we say, hey, if I were you, this is what I would do. I do blank, 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 blank. I would do 10 videos, maybe 5 carousel posts. If you engage this way, you'll get a lot more followers doing that. I've noticed that these posts work a lot better. And that's what I would do if I were you. Here's a content calendar of what I would do. And basically you can just copy and paste, give them a content calendar or whatever. And if you want to move together long term, we can do $800 a month plus blah, 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 blah. And we go from there. So that's kind of the idea where basically we're just giving away free sales calls or a consulting call, which is just a sales call,
Mhm.
and giving them a strategy. Again, when I did that video, I just got positive replies. I didn't even turn them into booked calls because I usually don't. I just try to see how many people are interested.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I think that might work for people that want to try it. But anyways, all right. Last
Definitely.
question. I think one of your videos, it really resonated with me because you said that one of your favorite parts about being an entrepreneur is that you get to eat whenever you want and you can buy whatever food you want. And
Yeah.
I resonate with that so much because when I was first getting started, I would go to Taco Bell and I'd be like, I can't, I'm gonna get a $3 meal. Not with inflation, it's like $12 for that meal, whatever. But now being able to just go wherever I want, I thought was because I can get an apartment, but I was looking at new apartments and it's like, hey, it's like the same thing, but slightly bigger. Awesome, cool. And then I can get a cooler car, but it's like I have 2 cars. I can buy another one, but it's gonna go slightly faster than the one I have now. That's cool, but it's like it's gonna still get me to the same place. So it's like there's not much to buy else other than the fact that I just get the freedom of being able to do whatever I want. So how has it changed your life a little bit in terms of going from working at this cafe to now?
Yeah, 100% the best part about making money is being able to buy food and not really worry about the price.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I have the exact same mindset. I don't spend money on really anything. Um, I think I spend less money now, even though I'm making the most I've ever made,
Yeah.
um, than I've ever spent, except for food. And yeah, it's just nothing's really changed. I think for me, like again, other than like I mentioned, I'm spending less money now because
Mhm.
I'm more frugal with my money. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't know how else to explain. I just don't really want anything else. Like
Yeah.
I'm not really a car guy. Um, I don't really need like this fancy apartment or this fancy house. I'm not interested in fancy clothes or jewelry, whatever. I got the shirt from my cousin for free. Like I'm not interested in any of these other things, except for food. So
Yeah.
that's the only thing I have like this big expense for, that I'll splurge on. So yeah, but I think that's the best part about making money. And I did kind of want to ask you as well, like, um, what it's like because I know you make a lot more money than me, and I would like to say make a lot more money than the average person. So I kind of wanted to talk about like if you're open to it, like what it's like making 10K a month, and then also what it's like making however much you make. I don't know how much you make, but I'm gonna.
Yeah. Yeah. On average, now I make anywhere between 45 to 60K a month. And what has changed? Okay, so when you're at 10K a month, obviously you're not making 10K profit, maybe 5, 6, 7K profit. And what I noticed is that your bank account usually bounces. So it bounces between, when you're young, my bank account worked at Jimmy John's, it would go between anywhere with $300 to $1,000. When I got to $1,000, I'm like, man, I bought like Supreme. I would buy, yeah, it was like you, I spent more money when I was broke. And now I bought this recently bought this $200, what's this thing called? Like a treadmill desk thing. I don't even have a standing desk. I put my coffee table on top of my desk because I'm too frugal to just buy a standing desk for like $300, whatever. So, and I bought this MacBook Pro recently, and when I was broke, I bought a MacBook Pro for like $2,000. I bought this used for like $450 on
Yeah.
eBay because I don't
You
like
want to
spending
know
money.
like, do you notice like my mic is kind of standing?
Yeah.
It's and I have like a standing pole. Do you want to know how I keep it up?
Well, sure.
Put on this Lotion,
On the
just
lotion.
standing up like this.
Yeah, it's like so I feel like just like you, I've gotten cheaper the more money I make. But uh when it was at like 10K, I would have, let's say, 10, 20K in the bank. It would like bounce between 10, 20K, and then I would get to 20K for some reason. I would just bounce back down to 10K. I would, pay for, oh, gonna try to build a software, whatever. And so I just noticed that one, I think where you're at right now, you get to a point where you realize, okay, I'll probably never have to worry about money again because I know exactly what I need to do. Say if my Upwork account shut down today, I know exactly what I need to do to get it up and working again and be able to get more clients again. So I think that's probably the most freeing thing, to be able to wake up every morning and say, I've got 10 proposals coming in. Or wake up, when I was doing this, I was doing like Facebook outreach, and I would wake up every day and get 10 people saying, yes, I'm interested, or how does it work, or send me the payment plan, whatever. And so now I just every day being able to wake up and know that I have more money coming in the door. And so that's the most freeing part right there. But then when we get to 50K, slightly going. So the way I got to 50K was I was bouncing between, I went 10, 15, 16, 20, 25, and then 25, 30 is bouncing between there. And then YouTube, I had one video that blew up on YouTube because I paid for this YouTube course, Daryl Eves and stuff like that, and the guy that works with Mr. Beast and all that jazz. And so I made a video. I spent 1,000 days trying SMMA. I got 100,000 views, and I got that's when inbound started coming to. So that's how I kind of learned more about inbound people coming to you rather than having to go out cold. And so I was getting a few inbound calls a month from there. But then as soon as I hit that video, and it was a perfect video where I had a perfect story, it kind of touched on some heartstrings, whatever. Plus at the end, I'm like, hey, if you want my system, you can book a call directly with me. And then people would book a call. I was getting 75 booked calls a week for the first month of January of 2023. And that, like, I went from 25K to 50K that next month, just from that one video blowing up. And then from there, it was consistent to 50K just from the inbound coming in. And then from there, I guess lifestyle wise, I still live in the same apartment. And I moved into this apartment when I could not afford it. Like I was making $4,000 a month. The rent's like $1,000 a month. And then I lost my job, or I lost like the clients that I had. And so then I had to go get a job. I'm only making $2,000 a month. So I was barely getting by. And I was looking at new apartments, but I'm like, I don't really want that. and I haven't moved the apartments. I buy cheap stuff like a used MacBook Pro. I think, yeah, the main thing is just buying food, and then really I'm still, I think I still worry. I think you'll always worry about money. Where I think about, well, inflation's rising so much, and like, what if we get to a point where inflation kind of overtakes, where like in Argentina or in Venezuela, where it's like 200%, 300% inflation, where I have, let's say, $100,000 in the bank. What if it just goes to zero, where it's still $100,000, but now it's only worth $10,000 because inflation rises so much? Like, so I worry about that stuff. Like, maybe I should buy investments, but maybe the prices are too high. But and so that's kind of where life is right now. And so right now it's just basically, let me just save more. I think about where my bank account is right now. Let me save another $10,000, and then I want to make sure I don't spend anything else other than making sure that I have this set amount in my bank account. And then I'm going to get to my next goal, having this set amount in my bank account, and next goal, this set amount, and think about taxes later on down the road. But it's really same lifestyle, just not having to worry, or being able to, main thing, going out with friends, being able to pay for everybody, or leaving a decent tip and the waitress cries, whatever. You're like that. That's, I like doing that. But other than that, nothing really changes. So
Okay, so it's like the same.
yeah, you just have more, right? Which obviously is better. And long term, because I think about, okay, what if I get a wife, and then I have to pay for her parents and the parents' medical bills when they get old, and my parents' medical bills when they get. It's like there's a lot of expenses down the road. I don't really know how most people do it, just living day to day.
Mhm.
But I know I'm probably gonna have to spend $1 million on other people over the course of my lifetime, and so I have to think about that in the future. So obviously, we have to keep stacking, keep stacking, keep stacking, and also the goal is, even if, because sometimes I'll think, oh, I get content, where I'm like, maybe I should just remove my rent, remove any monthly expense, go live in a van, and then work from a van, and then make as little as possible. But I also at the same time think about, if God gave me this life, I got to play the game to win, and if I don't play the game to win, what was the point of playing? So if you're not playing to win, then it's like you just kind of wasted your time. So if I just want to play for myself and live in a van, whatever, that's just selfish for me. And so I need to make as much as I can, or do as best as I can for myself, for my family, for future wife, future whatever, right? For future kids. And so I think about that, where it's like I need to make as much as I can for them, not for me. And also to show God, like, hey, look, I'm thankful that you gave me this life. I'm here to serve you. So that's about
Wow.
it.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I asked was because like when I when I first got into this, I was thinking like, okay, goal 10K per month. That's the ultimate goal. When I get to 10K per month, this is what my life's gonna be. I'm gonna wear all these clothes. I'm gonna have all this jewelry on me. I'm gonna live in this apartment. I'm gonna have this car. And now I'm here. It's like nothing like that. And now I'm hearing your story where it's like you're making quadruple that, and it's pretty much the same thing. So it's kind of yeah, I think it's kind of eye-opening to, I guess, maybe the audience watching, where it's like it's not really what you might expect. Um,
Yeah, it's still very cool because,
yeah.
like, I went to Thailand. I actually I was in Japan for like 17 hours and I got to ride the train. That's about it. But I wish I honestly I went to Japan, and then I went to, or sorry, Thailand, then the Philippines. I was only in Japan for a layover, and I honestly wish I just went there, because the Philippines, it was nice, but it was like just like homeless people everywhere, which again, not
Uh,
bad, but dogs walking around, the milk tastes weird. I'm like, why could I just went to Japan? Uh, but it's like just being able to, okay, I can fly anywhere whenever I want. I can eat whatever I want, which really, day to day, that's what you want. And then I can buy my family whatever. We can just go out to eat wherever we want. And so that's all you're really looking for, is the freedom. But then from there, it's just about how do I maximize my potential? Because obviously, I only have so much time. So yeah, it's not gonna get much different, I guess.
yeah, definitely. I I did want to ask you a question because I think you did mention it in the email that you sent me, where you mentioned like you're making, you said, are you're still running your agency?
Yeah, slightly. So it's a little different, but yeah.
Okay. And you're making, I don't know, like 50K a month, not from your agency and not from, I guess, a course that
Mm,
you're selling. Is
yeah.
that what it is? And
Yeah.
if it is,
So
I have a
sorry.
bunch of follow-up questions.
Yeah, we can get into that later on, post recording. But what I do now is I got into, and I said this in like my video on how I went from, or I spent 1,000 days trying SMMA, and I started selling systems, where I say, instead of selling a course or instead of selling a monthly retainer, I say, hey, I will help you set up the systems. I'll give you whatever you need. You can book as many calls with me as you need, and we'll be able to get consistent appointments in the door or consistent content in the door, whatever. And then from there, you'll have everything you need, and then you'll be able to go and be able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's kind of like selling, instead of selling a gym membership, we're selling exercise equipment. So something that they can put in their house. So I'll give you, let's just say, and I think there's a very good idea for you. And this is what I want to talk about later. But for me, what I sell is, hey, how about I think LinkedIn outreach will work really well for you. I'm going to give you a LinkedIn outreach automation tool where you're going to be able to consistently do blah, 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 right? Send out messages. I'm going to give you the lead list of all the people that we want to reach out to. These are going to be people that are going to be interested in your service. I'm also going to create the message for you so that you'll know exactly what to say. I'll also create the script for you. So if someone responds and says, yes, I'm interested, I'll show you how to get them over to a booked call. And then from there, you just got to close the deals. Okay. So you have everything you need. You just pay me one time. You never have to pay me again. And then you're going to be happy. Cool. Awesome. I would sell that to people. I gave them everything they need. And then I could see their accounts. Like I could see, because I had access to it. I see that they use it for 2 weeks, and when we're on calls, whatever, they would use it, and they would get a couple clients, a couple leads in the door. It was awesome, cool. And then from there, I'd be like, okay, cool, you're good. Have a good time. Let me know if you need any questions or need anything, and I'll talk to you soon. Right? 2 months later, I look at their accounts. They weren't using it at all. It's like, so when you buy exercise equipment, most people, they'll tell you, I've got an attic full of exercise equipment because I think, oh, this is the next big thing that's going to help me. They start using the ab roller. They start using this treadmill walking disc thing, and they use it for a few weeks, and then they realize, like, well, they just stop using it, even though they know it works. It's going to work for them. They just stop using it, and then they go off and buy the next thing, which is good for you because then you can sell them the next thing and the next thing, and the next thing. Now, obviously, this can't work for them. This can be the one end all solution that can get them to their end result, but it's on them to actually use it. So I give it over to them. If they don't use it, you can buy my next thing, where this is going to help you too. And so and what I noticed too is nobody wants to pay for a $2,000 per month retainer. I don't know if you know what AppSumo is, but AppSumo is a platform where you can buy softwares for like a one-time fee. So I hate paying anything like $100 a month. I hate that stuff. And so if I can just pay one time for $100 rather than $100 per month, and it's not like a yearly contract, it's just a one time. And I would much rather do that. And so I thought of, well, what if I did AppSumo, but for like agency services? So how about I sell you this thing for $3,000, $5,000 one time, and you never pay me again, and you'll get whatever you need. You'll get unlimited leads through this system. And so I think there's some ideas for you that you can actually implement that. And that's how I was able to I went from about 10, 15K to 25K, 30K doing that. And then once the YouTube channel blew up, I was just selling that a lot more. And the course came along with that just because people would ask the same questions. They would say, hey, how do I set this Facebook thing up? And I'm like, all right, well, just here, let me make this video for you. Here's how to set up the Facebook thing. And then somebody else asked the same thing. Here's the same video I just sent to that guy. And I was like, well, let me just make a generalized video for everybody, and then generalized video. And then it became, here's another generalized video, another one. And then I just put it into a document, and that's, here's all the generalized videos on how to do that, those specific things. And then it just became a course. So I never wanted to be the guru, never want to be the course guy, but it just kind of became that when people kept asking me the same questions. So that's how it works.
Okay, good. I'm
Cool.
to our conversation then after that for that.
Cool. For sure. Yeah. All right. Well, where can people find you?
Um, well, I have two social media accounts.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to include Upwork, I don't know if that counts. You can find.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I have a YouTube channel. I think it's just my name. It's just
Mhm.
YouTube Thomas M. And I also have an Instagram, the guy Thomas M. So you
Mhm.
can look me up there. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I have two social media accounts. That's it.
Awesome. Cool. I'll put those in the link. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.